Algebra 2 Worksheet 9.3a, I'm going to look at 4 problems in this video. I'm going to look at 17, 18, 20, and 21, all of them. And in this set, you're asked to solve each equation and state whether you used factoring, completing the square, or the quadratic formula. Now, one quick hint is if you're good at quadratic formula, literally every equation can be used for quadratic formula. It's the one method that works for everything. As long as you plug it in correctly, you can use it for any equation. Now, some people don't like it because it might be a little more work. It's a little kind of clunky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at each one by itself and just kind of start solving it and see which of these methods is really the easiest. Now, number 17 gives me x squared plus 4x plus 40 equals 0. Now, they've already got it equal to 0, so that's nice. One thing about quadratic formula is if you don't like it, what you're looking for when you have to use it is when the number in front of the square term, the quadratic coefficient, is something bigger than 1. It's like a 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. And here it's a 1, so we can probably get away without using quadratic formula on this one. Now, completing the square is nice because this is even, so completing the square will be nice and easy. Now, what I'm going to do is first, if you would check, well, maybe a factor. So I'm going to just do a diamond really quickly. 40 on top, 40 times 1, 4 on the bottom. I don't think anything's going to work to get 40 and 4, at least not with it being positive. So that diamond isn't going to work. So now this has to be completing the square. And again, you could do quadratic formula, but let's do completing the square first. So I'm going to keep the x squared plus 4x plus blank to add my square. I'm going to move that 40 over. Positive 40 becomes negative 40 plus blank. Now to get this value, I'm taking half of this and squaring it. Half of 2, 4 over 2, or half of 4 squared is 4, which means when I factor this, it'll be x plus 2. Square root of the first and last, the sign goes right in the middle. This now is positive 4. When I combine these, I get negative 36. Now to solve this, because of the square, I'm going to use square roots. So this square root and the square cancel each other out. It leaves me with x plus 2. Now on this side, I get square root of negative 36. Remember, when you take the square root of a negative, now you're getting an I value. And the nice thing is if I ignore that negative, square root of 36, that's 6. But now because of that negative, it's 6i. So you get the imaginary number. Now this is plus or minus, because it could be still like any square root. When you take the square root, it could be positive or negative. Then I'm going to subtract the 2 from both sides. X equals, now be careful, it's not 6 minus 2. 2 doesn't have the I, so you can't combine them. So I'm going to put that negative 2 first, plus or minus 6i. So now my solutions are negative 2 plus or minus 6i. Having the plus and minus represents both answers. And I completed the square, so my method is CTS, complete the square. Now number 18, x squared plus 4x minus 9 equals negative 4x. One thing I'm going to do first, I want it to be like this where I had the 0 in front in the beginning. So I'm going to take that minus negative 4x, move it over, and add it to both sides. So when I add it to both sides, it's going to combine with this 4x. And so I'm going to write that result on the line paper. It's going to be x squared plus 8x minus 9 equals 0. Now at this point, again, quadratic formula absolutely can work. But I'm going to try to factor it first. I'm going to go negative 9 times the 1 in front is negative 9. Positive 8 goes down here. And I think this might, let me see, negative 9 factored to negative 9 be negative 9 and 1. 1 and negative 9. 3 and 3. And I don't think any of those are going to work. Unless, oh no, positive 9, negative 1, whoops, because 9 times negative 1 is negative 9, 9 plus negative 1 is positive 8, so this one does in fact factor x and x, because the one in front I can just use the diamond, go straight from the diamond to this, plus 9 minus 1, which means to get my two solutions, I'm setting each factor equal to 0. And each of these is just one step. This is subtracting 9, I get negative 9. This is adding 1 to both sides, I get positive 1. So my solutions are -9, +1, and, oh, whoops, put that in the wrong place. -9, +1, and my method was factoring. Switching down to 20 and 21. Now, same idea here. I'm going to move like I did here. I'm going to move everything to one side. So it looks pretty complicated at first. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by moving the x squared. It's going to be -x squared from both sides. I'm going to add 5x to both sides. I'm going to add the 18 to both sides. Not much room to write in there, plus 18. So it's going to be equal to 0. When I subtract here, I get x squared, which is good. 1x plus 5x is positive 6x, and then I have that positive 18 there. So now I'm going to rewrite, so I have more room, x squared plus 6x plus 18. And again, the 1 in front could do quadratic formula, but I'll try to factor first. 18 and 6. 6 times 3, not going to work. 9 times 2, not going to work. 3 times 6. So it looks like this won't factor. So now this is going to be like this first one we did in the video, number 17. This is going to be completing the square. So I'm going to keep the x squared and the 6x plus blank, and I'm going to move that 18 over. It becomes -18 plus blank. 6 divided by 2 squared to fill in the blanks. That works out to a 9 and 9. This factors, becomes x plus 3 squared equals -9 when I combine those. Square root of both sides. X plus 3 equals, and then again, like we got here, the square root of -6 became 6i. Square root of -9 becomes 3i. Put the plus or minus in front. So then the last thing I have to do is I have to move that positive 3 over. It becomes -3. Oops. So my solutions are going to be -3 plus or minus 3i, and I used completing the square on that one. Now number 21, this is now where you see the number in front of the x squared, the 25. That tells us, well, we might have to use quadratic formula. But again, just like all the others, I'm going to move that -9 over. So I'm going to get 25x squared minus 30x equals, or plus 9 equals 0, which I'm going to write here. 25x squared minus 30x plus 9 equals 0. Now this one will actually, I think, factor. Let's do the diamond first. 9 times 25 is 225, and then the -30 goes here. And let me see, now I need factors of this. They're going to give me a -30 here. Oh boy. Let's go 5 first. 5 goes into that 49 times, I believe. That's 45 times. That's 45 and 5 didn't work, because these will not give me a -30, even if one of them is negative. So let's go, 15. 15, that's going to be 1, 75, 15, 15 and 15. And actually it does work. So 15 times 15 is 225. Make them both negative, that adds up to be -30. So now if I do factoring by grouping, I'm going to start with 25x squared minus 15x minus 15x, these are from the minus 15s, plus 9 equals 0. Then I'm going to factor out my common factor. A 5x comes out of both of these. It becomes 5x minus 3. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 3, 15. And then on this side, I'm going to take the negative with it. I'm going to be -3. It looks like 3 will go into both. That becomes positive 5x minus 3 equals 0. And notice what happens. These match, which is what we want. So I'm going to make one factor, 5x minus 3. The other factor will come from those that I took out, the common factors I took out here. 5x from this minus 3 from that equals 0. And now that both factors are exactly the same, I just need to put one of them equal to 0 to solve, which means I'm going to add 3 to both sides and get positive 3. I'm going to divide by 5. It does not go evenly, so my answer is just going to be plain old 3/5, and that worked by factoring.